recording will be made available on YouTube and Facebook for other people who want to take advantage of the information that was shared. But it is historic, and it's no. You should have no doubt of the historic nature of your participation inside of this event or inside of any of these conversations. So, with that being said, um, my name is Brother Faruq Hunter, and I am the founder and chairman of Freedom Nation. I'm going to see if I can adjust this camera a little bit so I'm talking into the camera and not away from it. But and we are going to discuss today about what it means to build our future, not just locally. We've had those conversations in the past, but abroad, in the sense of the things that are happening to us, the things that are happening to the world, and taking on a position of power where we can grow on our own accord, without anybody's permission, with our own permission alone. And on the power of the only other power of God, but then on our own power that He's given to us. I want to start out this morning, like I said, Brother Lynn and Sister Kim are on the line. He's in the hospital. I want to take just a couple of minutes. I don't want to dictate how we pray because certain people have different ways of praying. But if it's okay, I want to take a solid 60 seconds. And you can please pass prayers to Brother Lynn and Sister Kimber. Lynn's in the hospital, and we want him to get past his affliction. He is a Freedom Nation citizen and a landowner, and he is a person of high significance to us and to our family initiative and to our desires to be self-determined. So we can start now, and please pray for Brother Lynn Mosley and his family. Okay, so let's get started. And Brother Lynn, we love you, man, and we're looking forward to building the future with you. Kim, you're welcome. We're welcome. Y'all are family. You know, that's the biggest thing about all of this. This is we're building a stronger family. We already share issues of hardship and the same common problems. Hopefully, we now share the same common solutions, and we make sure that we honor our family.
Thank you.
In every step.
Thanks,
yes, ma'am.
all.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, getting right down to it. I want to have the real quick, just cover the format and the format of the meeting. So this is not just a live. It's a full blown meeting in Google Meet. We're all on here, and I know this last year or two in the pandemic has taught us a whole lot about having online meetings. So we're all extremely aware on how to conduct them and act in them. I want to make sure that everybody is aware of that we're using Google Meet. There is a raise hand button, and the raise hand button, if you click it, it just basically says that you raise your hand. It'll give a notification, bring you up on my right hand side, so I know to let you in. And once we let you in, and then that hand is raised, I will call you out. Literally, I'll say, brother such such or sister such and such, and then feel free to take the floor. If you do not have the floor, I'm asking you to mute yourself. And the reason I'm asking you to mute yourself, instead of me controlling muting you, so I don't spend my time playing around with the buttons, instead we pass on the information. that's there. The chat is there, so I ask anybody, please use the chat. It's okay for the secondary conversation to happen in the chat room, and let's just do that. If we have questions that we want to ask, you don't want to forget them, then put them in the chat so that we can ask those questions and we can get them answered more than anything else. That's the basic format. As far as an agenda, we're going to take the first 15 minutes. I'm going to run my mouth a little bit. And during those 15 minutes, I'm going to explain what it is that we're here, what Freedom Nation is, what Freedom Village is, why I'm contacting you from Kazakhstan, why is your brother in Kazakhstan, and then we're going to talk about our overall plans, and we're going to start talking about this concept of future proof, or how to put us into a situation where we can control our future. Then after that 15 minutes, I hope that would stir up quite a bit of questions. And in the process of stirring up those questions, like I said, put as many of you can in the chat. Otherwise, raise your hand, and then we'll one by one go down through the raised hands, and we'll start to answer it. Our intention is to do the bulk of the conversation within the next 45 minutes. It's 5:15, just to honor those people who have other engagements in the day. However, because it's 5 o'clock in the morning here, I'm more than willing to stay on for an extra amount of time, up to an hour, in order to answer additional questions and talk to people as they see fit. If that's okay and everybody's all right, for those who have the video and who are not driving, you just raise your hand or nod your head and say that works for you, and we'll continue. There you go. But Yassine did it while he was driving anyway. Okay, so let's walk into it. First thing I want to cover is, I'm a strong believer that we are in a position or a condition that is not that much different than war itself. I won't say that I'm the kind of person to actually say that we have a declaration of war. We didn't declare war, but war has been declared against us for quite a long time. And operating as if we are not in a position where we're fighting for our survival would be just asinine and ignorant. We are fighting for our survival. We are fighting for control of our lives. Those of you who are like myself, I have 10 children. My children range between the age of 1 year old and 25. And I have two big, strong, handsome African-American sons, so-called African-American, but they have the most beautiful brown skin, much darker than me, and I'm happy about that. They are strong guys, physically, mentally, and I worry every single day about something happening to my boys. Every day. I did not teach them to be punks. So if someone tries to back them down, they will stand up. And it is a horrible, 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 horrible state of being to live in a condition where you fear for the life of your loved ones on a consistent basis every day. I just think that that's torture. And I just don't call it living. It's not living. It's not living. We make some of the highest incomes in the world in the United States. We have some of the greatest privileges when it comes to our overall standard of living. But when you live with unease in your heart, you're not in a good place, just period. So it's that unease that we tend to address. That unease doesn't always come with a threat of your life. It could also just come with a threat of an inability to take advantage of opportunity. When you are not able to seize the opportunities at a level of ease that should be necessary for anyone who's living and willing to be an effective part of their society. In many, many cases, too many of us are working our brains out with no intent of doing anything more than provide something of value for the people that are around us and the folks that share our citizenship. And we find it extremely hard in order to run those businesses, start them, get off the ground, find necessary funding, look for proper credit and things of nature, those things that make economies work. We have a hard time accessing those things. And that's not appropriate. That's not the way it's supposed to be. So the thing that we are addressing, and I want to be very clear, is we are addressing the overall inequity that is there. And the way we're addressing it very specifically is not by trying to raise money from other people, not by trying to, ask for some law to be passed. We're doing it through extreme self-determination, where we ourselves take full advantage of the resources we have to secure spaces, to then distribute those spaces back out to our people so that we can utilize them in order to grow and be successful in the way that a person should be if they're doing nothing more than just trying to grow and be successful and live a good life. And you can call that a million things. You can call that all kinds of titles, but I just call it common sense because that's what it makes in the end. It makes common sense to try to put you and your family in such a condition where things can be, where you can live a good life. So that cornerstone is what the Freedom Nation is. Freedom Nation was established under a single concept. It's written in the Principles of Freedom that we wrote initially in the starting of the organization. Freedom Nation has a very simple goal, and that is to make sure that you can go after the things that you need in your life without being inhibited by someone else and the things that they want in their life. Just simple, really, really simple. So on that, I'll kind of expand a little bit. The construct that the Freedom Nation has developed is a set of environments that we call the Freedom Villages. Freedom Villages are meant to be physical living environments where people who want self-determination can live close to each other, coordinate with each other, and work with one another in order to build the space that they feel they need to live an excellent life and take advantage of the opportunities that are rising in the world. Freedom Village is not just stuck. We have one inside of Hancock County, Georgia, and we have another Freedom Village that we are establishing now on the border of Kazakhstan and China. And I'm going to use this opportunity to do a screen share. And I'm going to share my browser. Let's make sure that goes through, because it's good to kind of show some of this on the map. Let me pull this up really quick. Bear with me just for 1 second. So just so you'll know, as far as the different places we're talking about, Freedom Village, Georgia is here where this little star is. Right there. You can just put Freedom Village, Georgia inside your Google and it'll pull up. And then we are now talking about the things that affect this side of the world. And Freedom Village Cargos is right here. This is the Chinese and Kazakh border. And there's Cargos. And we are in the what they call the Center for Border Collaboration here, right here on in the current cargo. So let me show what that is. And this is the other space we are. I'm now contacting you, like I said, from Nur Sultan, Kazakhstan, which is the heart of what is known as the New Silk Road in Kazakhstan. That's here. I'm here in Nur Sultan. And I'm actually contacting you right from this space right here, down inside. You can see it. I'm actually sitting right here, right now, right inside this building here. I'm right here. And this is where I'm contacting you from. So given that we've kind of given a basic understanding of what Freedom Village is and a basic understanding of why we're doing this and a basic understanding of why we're here, and we promised to do like a little 15-minute presentation just in case you just joined to explain exactly what it is that we are doing and why we're doing it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Then I want to kind of get into the actual topic. I want to give you a little bit of a background. I was I have been going back and forth to China now I'm 43. I've been going back and forth to China since I was 22. And the first thing that led me to China was just the idea. I had a software company I started when I was 20, and the idea that I could buy hardware and other things that I could resell in the United States, like most people look at China. And I went over for that reason. Taiwan, China, Malaysia, I was in all of those different areas. When I was living in China, I lived in a place called Guangzhou. Guangzhou is on the southern border. Once again, I'm going to share my screen again because I like the narrative to kind of play out a little bit on so you just understand where these places are, because I know some people don't understand where all of them are. But Guangzhou, they have what's called the Canton Fair. And every single year when they have this Canton Fair, let me show you what it is. This is where all of the vendors and manufacturers inside China come to one big place, and they occupy this space. Here it is. This is the World Trade Center, Guangzhou. They occupy this space, and you can pretty much buy anything that is Chinese at this place. You hear brothers that are starting some new project or doing some a product. So many brothers, so many people that we have in our Black-owned businesses have taken this trip, going to the Canton Fair and purchased their products. They go here, and this is how it's done. They have it twice a year. It's the best way to interact with China, is go to Canton Fair. They're like 120th Canton Fair or something like that. Well, as you can see by the size of the building, it's pretty large. It's about the size of 2 to 3 football fields. And I was on one side and decided to walk to the other because I didn't feel like waiting in line to get the trolley. So by the time I walked all the way to the other side, I was exhausted. I mean, absolutely exhausted. And I was there at Canton Fair looking for knobs, doorknobs, PVC piping, all this little extra stuff that we don't manufacture in order to put in the houses in Freedom Village, Georgia. That was what I was there for. When I got to the end, I was sitting down, I was tired. I sat in a big old chair, leaned back, and I was watching, kind of set up. They put these little massage chairs in front of this big old screen. And the big old screen, they were talking about the new Silk Road. Now, at the time, this $20 trillion project was only $100 billion in. And I remember seeing it, and what they were talking about was this. I want to also show that here, because if you haven't heard of this, you probably hear about it more and more and more these days because of some of the negative publicity the United States is trying to put around it. And there's a reason for that, by the way. So this is the new Silk Road. It's a set of interconnected roads that connect all of what's called Eurasia. That's Europe and Asia, and maritime roads that then connect the Africa as well. If you think that these things just hit the edge of Africa, I'd also like to share another part of Silk Road, so African Development Bank corridors. I want you to be able to search this stuff when we get finished. And if you look at the African Development Bank, African Development Bank, because I know a lot of times when we talk about Asia, the first question is, what about Africa? But what you can see is that the new Silk Road corridors actually connect to the African corridors. And it is a set of unified roads. There we go. So it's a set of unified roads. Everywhere the new Silk Road touches Africa, it's on the inlet to a road that connects all the way through Africa. And they are steady building these brand new roads on a consistent basis. So this was about connecting the part of the world where almost 85% of the population of Earth exists. And I immediately understood the impact of that and what that meant. It meant that in the United States, where at that moment, until to this day, only 5% of the world's transactions transpire. 5%, just in case you didn't know that, only 5% of the business transactions in the world transpire in the US. Now, that means even the things that you buy on the ground, the deals that made those things available did not happen on American soil. So 95% of the transactions, 50% of American currency is being spent in this space where they were talking about building this completely interconnected highway and waterways. And I just knew for a fact that there was no definitive future for me and my children if we weren't able to play a role in this. Historically, I'll tell you the significance of it. Historically, the Silk Road was a thing that allowed for like Islam to even serve. The entire Islamic world is built on the Silk Road. B, it allowed the transactions between Africa, China, and several other nations in Europe. As a matter of fact, it was the initial path that Marco Polo and other people used to discover the world that then set them up to do the things that they did during colonialism. And shutting down the Silk Road was the primary initiative of Europe in order to establish its power in the world. It was how it was able to get by with colonialism because it shut down the major ways for people to transport goods. So reopening the Silk Road as the world is coming into itself, into full maturity and modernality, is the bringing back and reestablishment of the powers of Africa and Asia on the world as they were prior to the European events, or European era, right? So that's something that we have to be passionate about. You know, we as African Americans sometimes make the mistake of believing that we are unique in our issues and in our suffering, and we're just not. There have been, it was a global event that put us into slavery. It was a global event that caused the degradation of Africa. It was a global event. And resolution of that global event is how we also climb back on top. But unfortunately, just like this conversation might have told you, a lot of people don't even know what the Silk Road is, what it was, the power, the significance of it, what it means to us. So I'm here as part of this to give you this conversation, not just what it is, but the crux of this conversation is how to own a piece of it, how to get in it, how to play. So now I started to answer the question, Kazakhstan. Why Kazakhstan? Most of us have never heard of Kazakhstan. As I was traveling around the world, you know, I've been to 80 so plus countries. I looked over and I've always said to myself, I want to go to the stands. I want to go to Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Turkestan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan. And it was always a dream in the back of my head, but I never had a reason to go there. Except for when I came home from that event in the Canton Fair, sat down in front of my computer, typed in New Silk Road, a documentary came up, and the first words out of the mouth of the documentary were Astana, Kazakhstan, which is where I'm sitting right now. And this was the place where President Xi Jinping came to first announce the New Silk Road. So I want you to understand where we're sitting. We're sitting at the place that one of the significant world leaders of the world, when starting the project of the century, $20 trillion project, decided to come and sit right over here. You'll see behind me, there's some construction here, but down here is Nazarbayev University. I'm looking at it outside my window right here. He stood right there and announced this entire project because he knew the significance of being right here. He understood that this was one of the most significant spaces in the world for what China wanted to do with the future, for what every other country wanted to do to reestablish itself and reestablish its connections outside of the European system. So we came here and then immediately started to understand that Kazakhstan, and I hope I'm still sharing my screen, Kazakhstan actually sits at the mouth of China's western border. And if you look, you've got Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India, Bangladesh over here on the western border. But Kazakhstan is the only place where you can travel all the way through, cross through Moscow, and then into Europe. You can also travel down and go into the Caspian or the Black Sea. You can pass through the Golden Key right here in Istanbul and gain access to the Mediterranean, which gives you access to all of North Africa. Meaning that you can go from Kazakhstan in this little old trip here, the distance between Alabama and California, and you can get into Africa. That's an amazing concept. Also, Kazakhstan is not just in Central Asia because it's called Central Asia. It literally is the center of Eurasia and the center of all that is Asia, Russia, and Africa. And we're right in the center. So it makes sense logistically to be here in this space. Now, I'm coming to the end of the presentation part, but in that, I want to hip you to something else. And this will explain the significance of what's happening in Kazakhstan. Right here on the border, down here in Hong Kong, I've been traveling back and forth to this area for quite some time now. There is a little city called Shenzhen. Now, if you know what Shenzhen is, Hong Kong originally was separated as a set of islands. It's actually just this little island down here. This side is called Kowloon, right? This was separated for the British to kick their butts out of China because they was using opium as a currency and hooking the country on opium, destroying them with a drug war. And they're basically drug warlords. The emperor decided to finally get rid of them. And when he did, the island of Hong Kong was the exception. Well, Hong Kong grew into its own power because of the reestablishment of the new trade lines and the destruction of the Silk Road. And China wanted to take advantage of being on the edge of Hong Kong. And what they did is they built this city called Shenzhen. Now, Shenzhen started out as a fishing village 22 years ago. Shenzhen had 65,000 people in the whole village. And if I could show you, just so you understand what I'm talking about, and it's so significant to this conversation. Shenzhen, let's put in 1980. How about that? Maybe that's a good time, right? So there's Shenzhen in 1980. That's what it looked like, just a little old Chinese fishing village, right? And here's a great before and after. That's Shenzhen today. Shenzhen is the hardware capital of the planet. Literally, the Chinese went in and completely redid this city because it was on the border. And being a border town, they allowed certain rules to take place that allowed you to transact with Hong Kong in a way that you couldn't transact anywhere else in China. They also put a visa that you could get very easily to cross Hong Kong and be in Shenzhen for 3 days, 4 days, and leave out, allowing people to do business without going through, getting a longer Chinese visa. So this little unique space is up to 18 million people right now and is the largest economy in all of China, rivaling Shanghai and Beijing. And there's only one other place where there's such a development going on, and it's in Cargos. Cargos, right now, spelled Cargos, I'm going to say Hargos because the Chinese side is called Hargos, right, is here on the border. And this is the mouth of the New Silk Road. You see, New Silk Road helps wealth boom in the desert, right? So basically, this was like the first 2 years of development. Since then, China has swollen Hargos to a city of 4 million. And by the 2025, they're trying to swell the city to almost 10 million. To give you an idea what that means, it's on the border of Kazakhstan. What you see along the side here is Kazakhstan, and this is China. Kazakhstan has only got 18 million people in the whole country. China is putting that many people against the border. And the focus is robotics. The focus is advanced manufacturing. The focus is computing. The focus is all of the other things and having access to the rest of China's other markets. So they also extended a massive railroad system that brings everything into Hargos within 2 to 3 days. So you can order from anywhere in China, receive it in Hargos in 2 to 3 days. And then here's the kicker. They put together Cargos, and by the way, there's the border right there. We took some brothers down to this border. We stood on the blue is the Kazakh, the red is the Chinese. But they basically have allowed this. I'm going to type it in here, Cargos. Let's just take a look at the regular here. The biggest dry port in the world. So Cargos, they made a slice down the middle, created a city where half is China and half is Kazakhstan. And anything can go across this border with no limitations, no visas, no taxes, no tariffs. And when it comes across the border, if you do anything with that product, it now is from that place and not the other place. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, see, a lot of folks under Trump, a lot of black businesses were damaged by buying stuff like toilet paper, buying cabinets, buying all kinds of stuff from China, buying just base products that they put inside other products and then sell to everybody. Because the tariffs went up and the taxes went up. In this place, you can stand on the Kazakh side, receive that stuff, package it, and then send it out as a product of Kazakhstan. And you don't find any of the tariffs, any of the duties, or any of the taxation that is going on between China and the United States. Very unique space in the world, growing at a massive rate, set to be one of the most key cities on the planet Earth. And here's the best part. Freedom Village Cargoes owns almost 10% of that city. That's what this is about. So we are on the mouth of the Silk Road. And on the mouth of the Silk Road, we've established Freedom Village Cargoes. Now I'm going to get up for a second somewhere while we're starting to answer questions because I can hear, and I'm going to grab, because I want to share the actual contracts that we signed with the government of Kazakhstan to take over that space. And we literally are building 140 units out there, 144 buildings. Each building has 9 units, and each unit we're selling exclusively to Freedom Nation citizens that pass through our other citizens' approval. And it's my nice way of saying that we're selling to us. And we are selling at the lowest possible rate. And what we've done, let me just share it with you. Let's do some freedom. First of all, let's take a look at cargoes on the map. I want to share that with you. Just like you see Shenzhen, I want you to keep that in mind. Let's go down from Chongqing. And by the way, I do want to open the floor. I want to answer some of the questions. Don't anybody hold back. I want to talk about West China. I want to talk about China's relationship with Africa. I want to talk about, is this even a conversation about China? You know, I want to talk about all of that in this conversation. I'm right here on the ground. I'm here to hand you some truths and disseminate some of the information you might hear or confirm some of the information that you might have heard otherwise. This is cargoes. On the right-hand side, you have Chinese building their city. This satellite image is about 3-4 years old. This one is pretty truthful. Cargoes on the Kazakh side has yet to grow. And what's happening now is some of the Chinese investors are taking over on this side, and they'll start building up this side as well. That wasn't the intention. The intention was to have this be international space. But as current, Freedom Village is the only international project. We took this plot of land here, right? And we're establishing ourselves on this border in this free trade area, in this center of joint collaboration and border collaboration and free trade. Okay. Downstream from us here is the largest dry port in the world. Why is that so significant? Because the Chinese railroad, their cars cannot go on the rails of Europe and the rest of the world outside of China. They have to change the tracks. The cars actually have to come in here, and then they have to take it from one size track to another size track and then move it down the line. I was hoping I could find the actual big yellow things that do that. And they move it on down the line. That's why that's so significant, so significant. 78% of all the traffic for Europe, Africa, that comes from this side of the Eastern Asia and into Eastern Asia by road will come through this one single corridor. So the last part I want to tell you is that in setting up this, and I want to give you this website, Freedom Nation, Control A, freedomnation.me/builders. You can also just type in Freedom Nation Builders. It'll come up as well. Okay. And we've changed some of the homepage stuff so that it reflects that. Gave you a couple of videos so you can understand what it means to be on the Silk Road. But we are actually building there. And we are setting up executive residence, offices, as well as showrooms inside of these buildings that we have designed with our own building materials. If you haven't noticed, in the middle of the desert, so we were particularly able to get the contract because we had take the time. You know, so many people criticize me for taking the energy out to learn how to make brick and mill lumber and everything else. But it's our ability to make brick and mill lumber that gave us these contracts, because there's no way to get other building materials in an easy way. So we're producing the building materials in that area. Here's the layout that's there. You can go to the website. You can see some of the things that are available. This is the building design. I chose a really simple design. We designed this in-house. It allows us to build really quick with our brick, with our wood, and in our way. Majority of the products, almost 85% of what goes in these buildings is made by us. So then we took and we are doing this. This is the last part. We are offering these buildings. If you look online, you'll see pricing, you'll see monthly pricing, so forth and so on, different things like that. Well, for the Freedom Nation citizens, we are offering financing, zero interest, because we're Muslim and we don't believe in interest and we don't believe it's a fair system that should be charged to our people. And then also for zero interest. And for anyone who's a Freedom Nation citizen, we won't even check your credit. We will go off the strength of your word in order to sell. That's the exact same way we have recently sold 70 different lots down in Freedom Village, Georgia. We went off people's word. We didn't run any credit check. We understood that everybody had good intentions. If someone has a problem, we take the time to work with you, not take advantage of you. Every dime that we earn is to build another project to give us more strength and to extend this work that we're doing. And so it's no reason to fight somebody for that. Instead, our intention is to make sure that you own a piece of it, not that you don't own a piece of it. So even if you have issues, problems, we work with you. So this is that kind of financing. What we've done is we've taken any money that we've collectively made, and we didn't make it through no special stuff, right? I'm a software engineer, been that for 20 some odd years. I trained my brother, I trained other brothers, other young brothers. I've trained 45 different brothers and sisters how to be software engineers. We took that money, we reinvested it inside lands, and lands here in Kazakhstan, lands in the United States. And then we found a way to sell it as cheap as possible in the most inexpensive way to our own people so that they could own that property and be in their control. We reduced the cost here for citizens down to the almost just a little over the actual cost to build the buildings. And the reason why we're doing that is because if a brother decides or sister decides to sell their property, we want them to be able to do so at the going rate, which here, raw property, raw building on that border is $65 a square foot. If they decide to keep it, they can keep it at the most inexpensive rate, and they can set up their manufacturing plant. They can set up their residence. They can do wheeling and dealing. They can ship all around Asia. They can ship into Africa. They can use it as a base for negotiating their deals with China and with any other Asian powers or European powers and push it back into Africa otherwise, right? We did that because this is our intention and our goal is to help our people. It's not to make a bunch of money. This is not it. If it was, I'd quit and I'd go home. I just go ahead and work in my profession. I make plenty of money to retire, me and my wife. 5 of my children are already married. I don't really have a whole lot that I need to do for myself. So this is about helping our people out. So this is what I wanted to talk to you about. There's a whole lot more to be said, but I think maybe it can be answered through questions. I'm going to start closing my mouth now, and then I'm going to start answering some questions. I'm going to look over here in the chat and ask Faruq, when you get the chance, please answer if there are future plans for freedom entering Morocco for opportunity. I will, Brother Theodore. The answer is yes, but I'll address it a little bit towards the end, the entire layout of what Freedom Village is intending. Actually, we're currently working to negotiate the same as we have here in Cargos in northern Ghana, in Morocco, near Tangier Med. So we have access to the Strait of Gibraltar, and in Djibouti to gain access to the Strait, what they call not the Strait of Malacca, but the Babel Mandab, which is this little bit of waterway that comes in between Africa and the Middle East that lets you go up through the Suez Canal and back out. But we are currently negotiating all of that right now to try to get into all of that. So that is the large plan, and hopefully over the next 5 years we'll establish all of that. This one being the first. So I see Amanda Washington has a hand raised, and Amanda, please just go ahead and chime in. I'm gonna unpin myself, and then I'm going to give you the floor for your question.
Yes, brother. I'm wondering if I could see the land in Hancock, Georgia, so I can decide whether I'm gonna stay here in America and live here in America or move overseas somewhere. Because I'm tired of paying rent to a people that never liked my heritage and never liked me. I figure that I, as a woman of color, have suffered enough in this system while I was going to public school and working in the system and never got paid a fair wage. But I'm retired, I get pension, and I get Social Security. Is there any way that I can get a tiny home or buy a piece of property at Freedom Nation? Because I don't want to stay in this system and pay the wrong people. I want to pay my own people and deal with my own people. Please. Thank you.
You're welcome, Sister Amanda. So what I will say is the answer to the question is yes. What we're doing with all the Freedom Villages is what we're looking for is clear interest to engage. Now, I know that what our process is that a person says, "Hey, I want to buy a lot. I want to buy a space here." We give you terms, and then we give you 5 days. So we take you just off the strength of your word and say, "Yes, okay, no problem. Here's the map. Take it. This is what's available. What is it that you'd like to take advantage of?" And we show you, say, "I want to choose that." Say, "Okay, fine." Now, within that 5 days, we give you time to go see it, walk around, engage with Sister Karima and Brother Daniel Muhammad have been extremely good at taking people down to the property and walking them through, showing them lots, showing them what's available. And then once they do that, then talk to them about, okay, how is it you can secure your space? Now, I'm going to add this for all spaces. One of the reasons that we're doing this is because a lot of people talk about self-determination, but really don't know how much work is truly involved. There is a lot of work involved. I mean, a lot. And if you go alone, there's a lot of sacrifice. I mean, a lot, not a little bit, a lot, right? I can tell you that just to secure the things in Hancock, free and clear, and to secure the spaces here, not even mention the moves we want to make, we extended ourselves in completion. What I mean completion is we took every single dime we earned and determined that the only savings that was worth anything was the savings of the properties and the initiatives itself. So we forego saving anything or doing anything extra for years. And then when we got out there, once you buy the land, that's just the start. Then you got to learn how to process the trees, process the everything else, or just become a slave again by walking down to Home Depot for everything. And if you want to become that kind of slave, that's just another trick. You go down and buy a piece of land, and then you got to spend all your money down at Home Depot. You got to spend all your money at some other place, or pay this person and that person, because you really didn't know what it meant to actually build your own house or do everything else. So we took another several years and a lot of investment in order to figure out how to build our own building materials, how to get them certified, how to join the boards. Like we actually write some of the ASTM codes for the International Building Code around our materials, right? We actually write, and we know the guys who write the international codes for our building materials. It took a lot to figure all that out. It took a lot going down to San Antonio to meet with those guys, and flying out to India and Brazil to figure out how to make the brick and everything else. I'm saying all of that to say that even though we have tried our best to make it as easy as possible, there's still a decent amount of work that's left over after you purchase your property. You still need to build a structure. And you can build a tiny home, that's fine. We can even show you how. We give you classes on construction if you want to do it yourself. We've brought in some brothers that are amazing brothers, Brother Dree, some other brothers that have a very good resume with building, We have Freedom Village citizens that are also builders that can be contracted and willing to work with other citizens in order to build their houses. But there's still things that you need to do. But seeing it is just easy. You just show your intention. And then once you show your intention, you then walk through the process. We're here to educate you on what it means to actually try to build for yourself. I'm going to be very honest with you. It's not the easiest thing in the world to pull off, but it's darn sure doable. People do it all the time. And it's something that you can achieve if you really put your heart and your mind to it. As far as here inside cargoes, and I want to see if there's anybody else with their hand raised or another question. No, Sister Amanda, to answer your second question, it's not too much. It's just something new. That's all. It's something new. And everything comes with a level of sacrifice and learning and the willingness to step into things that aren't necessarily comfortable for us. That's all. That's all. And that's just the reality of self-determination. Self-determination puts self first, and that self means you yourself have to do a lot. That's the truth of it. That's just the truth of it. There's another question from Sister Kelly. I'm in KSA right now. Do you have any investment ideas in this area? KSA. Sister Kelly, enlighten us on what KSA, where KSA is. My brain is not. Oh, I agree, Amanda. I'm already living on SIS. Where is KSA? Sister Kelly, if you can unmute yourself.
Yes, assalamu alaikum, my brother Faruq. Yes, alhamdulillah. Thank you for sharing all this. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Yes, well, it actually stands for Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I guess I probably didn't type it in correct. It's probably not that clear. But I'm over here in in the Middle East, and I'm interested in what you're saying. I'm looking to invest. I would like to. I'm interested in investing in some property still outside of the States. I'm not convinced that it's a great place for me to retire in and settle down. And I've been here in the kingdom for about 15 years, but back and forth to the States. So I just need to know pretty much what's the first steps, initial steps, and just kind of give it to me in layman terms. What's the easiest route to take to invest.
So, Sister Kelly, what I'll tell you is this: it's a kind of a weird situation. So we have other brothers that are on the call that have lived in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has a really big project going on that you already know about called Nome, as well as there are several developments in Riyadh and several developments in Jeddah. Where a couple of the princes and the king are building new spaces and adding modern additions to the cities. The problem is the level of land ownership that's allowed to you. One, B, access the opportunities. So being able to cut through that very strong caste-based system inside of Saudi Arabia to allow opportunities for the masses. And the last thing, which is really the first thing, is just strategic location when it comes to a space for passage. Even though Dubai has positioned itself in UAE as a hub, I mean, the true hub of the region, and it's seen in its airports is Istanbul. As far as air and the passage through the Golden Key and everything else. So when I look at it strategically in a long-term investment, given that Allah is only going to give me so many years on this earth before he takes my life, and I might have used them all up already, then I have to think about what is the best use of our time and our limited funds. And we typically focus on the areas that are key transport corridors. And like I said, there's about 4 or 5 of them in the world, and they seem to get the majority of our attention. As far as investment, just like in Freedom Village, Georgia, what we did is, we took a piece of land that cost us almost $500,000, and we chopped it up into 1.25 acre lots. We then offered 12-month no interest financing and let people buy into it for $1,000. And you know, the language sounds like just like sell, sell, buy, buy, but I just want to be really clear. This is just the language of acquiring things and trying to build something of value. So what we did is then we gave 325. We still do this now, 325 a month for 12 months, and then the buyer pays the closing costs, which we consolidate by having multiple buyers do the closing at once, so that we reduce the cost of the closing. And that allows us to do that. So that's what we did there. Here in Freedom Village Cargos, what we're doing is we reduced it down to $1,500. So we're basically saying, hey, look, you know, set up shop here. You can your physical location, your office location, and your showroom. Your ability to negotiate with all of what's in China, outside of China. Your ability to use, like, for example, CPEC. A lot of people don't know about CPEC, but CPEC stands for the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. It allows you to come from Central Asia down through Pakistan. They built some of the highest roads in the world through the mountains of Pakistan and come to Gwadar and dump right into Saudi Arabia and right into Dubai and right into those spaces and transport things back and forth. But it allows you to gain access to that, and you pay $1,500 and then $700 a month. We give 5-year financing for that too, that we've been able to calculate that we can do for brothers and sisters to allow them to enter at the lowest point possible. So those are the two things that we do, and that's how you walk into the space. Is we just made it as inexpensive as we possibly could for people to come into space. I can tell you that we're down a little over 1.2 between Freedom Village, Georgia, and Freedom Village Cargos, 1.2 million, and we're trying to lower that bridge so people can come in for $1,500 and $1,000.
Okay. I think you misunderstood. I wasn't pretty much talking about doing an investment here in Saudi Arabia. I'm referring to the Freedom Village investment there, and either Freedom Village Cargo or the Freedom Village Georgia.
Yeah, so that's how the Freedom Village Cargos in Georgia is. We it's very inexpensive because what we've made it that way. Even with if your intention is to, like, for example, if you're trying to build a stronger, like, what business are you in now? Like, what do you do for a living now?
Right now I'm in the education sector, but I'm flexible, and I do a little real estate in the States. So
So is your intention to live or invest?
I'm looking to invest and probably live. I mean, I want to do both, to be truthful.
So let me give you an example of, I'll give you a great example of, like, Freedom Village Cargos, which I think is pretty interesting. So Cargos is there on the western border. So that means that you're exposed to the Uyghur, Dangani, and Kazakh people, right? All Muslim, all three Muslim sets of individuals. Right where we have the development, you can hear the adhan every day because there's a big mosque right outside the gate of the city. That's in another village that's there. To live there, okay, and live in El Mahdi. I mean, I live in this area, live between there and El Mahdi, is a pretty interesting proposition because the focus on anyone living there would be to do business. It's the main thing would be about transactions. So let's just say you want to live outside of there, like you want to do like Brother Trent is doing, like Brother Yassine is doing, and move here to Kazakhstan with us, like me and my family doing, and I've got another 50 people moving here, inshallah, in the next 2 weeks. To do that and then to carry on business on the border is a heck of a great proposition. That means that you can buy the property down there. You pay like $1,500 and then sell it to somebody else, or lease the property out to somebody else. I got a call about a month ago from a guy named Giovanni. He is the minister of fashion out of Italy. And he was asking if we would provide spaces for Dolce & Gabbana and for, Louis Vuitton and these other Italian brands. And then he brought his friend, who's also the Minister of Fashion for France, to do the same. So they wanted to buy. I did not move on it because I wanted them to buy from a Freedom citizen. I wanted one of our people to purchase the space at a low cost and then sell it to them at the highest cost they could probably make. To give you an example, Louis Vuitton pays $1,000 a square foot to build out their spaces in the normal sell area, right? Even in El Madi, they did that when they built at Essente in El Madi, which is just 4 hours from that area. So it's a great opportunity to buy into it and then just say, hold it. If someone wants to hold it like that, what we're doing is saying, okay, don't pay more than cost. So, go ahead and pay $1,500, pay the first 2 years and don't pay another cent. We'll hold it. It's in your name. It's yours. Okay. But we don't want you to pay all the regular price because you're not going to occupy it. So we'll both make money when we can sell it for you, or we can rent it out for you. We won't do anything until that moment. We just want you to hold it so you'll be in control. Does that answer the question, Sister Kelly? I don't know if I've done a good job.
Yeah, pretty much. I have an idea. I'm going to do a little more research on your website and get a little bit more broad understanding of it. But yeah, I understand it. I get the gist of what you're saying.
So we're coming to the end of the hour, and my main purpose was to introduce the concept, to get your mind spinning, to get you thinking, hopefully to introduce you to one or two things that aren't on your mind right now. And that is that, talking to Sister Amanda's question, and I'm going to answer, I got another question here too, but talking to Sister Amanda's question, when we set out to do this whole thing and we said, look, we're going to spend our life, I'm just sick and tired of thinking that we would spend my whole life doing nothing but just making some money and getting a house and some cars. That seems silly to me. Seems like we should do something that changes our situation and give my life over to it. This is a personal commitment as well as a family commitment because I enlisted parts of my family to help me. When we did that, we soon realized exactly how hard it is and how many pieces are involved with this idea of self-determination. There's a lot of pieces. I mean, literally, when you sit there, you look at a company like Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble totes that 75% of products in your house are made by them, from your toilet tissue to your the products you clean your clothes with. Now, a lot of us have become a little more conscious, and we start to buy from each other when it comes to our soaps and detergents and hopefully our toilet tissues. But a lot of things that we don't know is a lot of those soaps, detergents, toilet tissues and stuff, they're all made in China, even the ones being sold by us, because we can't afford to get them made in the United States. So it just seems like it makes a whole lot of sense for us to take a little more control over the situation instead of doing it the way that we've been doing in the past. This is why we decided to make a move on this. And this is why we're really trying to convince our brothers and sisters about the significance of having a space on the border in a free trade zone where we can always control our future. And it doesn't matter who fights with China. It's not just about China. The truth of the matter is you're in Kazakhstan, which is the Switzerland of the East. They have great relationships with Russia, China, and the US. And because they have this trilateral situation, like Sun Tzu said, the space in between three warring states is always have to be a place of neutral ground. So place yourself in this neutral ground where we can have significance and authority over our situation and the ability to negotiate and sustain our businesses and sustain our manufacturing capacities and other things, not just by hiring Chinese, but also by using the facilities here owned by Freedom Village in that free trade zone as well. So really, excuse I think my energy is a little weird because it's early in the morning, it's still Ramadan, so we're still fasting. But I'm going to ask Sister Asakoye, and please, I pray to God I pronounce your name right. I don't want to do what people do to my name. As you mentioned, the interest in people trying to get property out there like Louis Vuitton, and other companies, what incentives are there for leasing the space on holds and cargoes? Well, this incentive directly, well, as a matter of fact, I should say, Sister Asakoye, can you unmute yourself?
Actually, it's Brother Asukaya, but
Brother Asukaya, brother, I'm sorry.
It's all right, good brother Faruq. It's no problem. What you mentioned about having the space or being able to buy a space and then having these companies come in, like I've seen following business history, things like the long-term lease by places like Guinness in the UK. So thinking about whether or not one should buy a property and then possibly lease it out like a long-term lease to some of these companies where they would build the facilities, but you still own the land underneath the facility.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I would, what I would suggest is this: you know, if you don't currently have some type of business or manufacturing or something that would benefit from the location, I would take the property just to sell it back. Now, Brother Yassine is on the call, and I'm calling on Brother Yassine for a reason, because we recently signed an agreement with some other brothers who came out here to Kazakhstan. They saw what was going on. They saw our ability to be able to sell in this area. They understood the dynamics. Like they actually came out. Brother Yassine came out here to Kazakhstan and everything else. And then we signed an agreement with them where they purchased capacity here and then trusted Freedom Nation to sell that capacity locally. So this would be the same thing in a sense where you say, you know, look, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I can get into a property that otherwise would be extremely expensive and is key area in the world. Like I said, please do the due diligence around cargoes. Do the due diligence to understand this space that I'm talking about, because it's very significant. And then I can own a piece of that, right? It's like saying early on, I owned a piece of Dubai. I can own a piece of that. Then I can trust the brothers to sell it for me or lease it for me. And as they get the lease from me, I'm going to benefit from it directly. However, if the lease ever goes up, if they move out, if I have a business idea, if the lease doesn't go up and I have a business idea, I can still go into China or anywhere else and ship my stuff there. I can still register my company in that free trade and special economic zone, and I can still operate like I'm in that space and get things done that other people can't get done. So there's a benefit all the way around to the owner. That is why I'm trying to lower the barrier of ownership for us and not give ownership to other people, because it doesn't make sense that they have all those rights and benefits. They can take them as long as they're there, but we should be able to take advantage of them as long as we are part of it at all.
Of course, I definitely agree with that. And also, like you said, it's a historical area, knowing the history of the Silk Road stretching from where it does. And you're in a neutral zone inside a place that you have so many different hotbeds of technology. Sometimes, you know, there are wars that are popping off and different things that are happening, but those are other elements of the economics that are playing out that we're not really getting attention to. And then I'm here in the States, in New York. I have a business. I do design and products and so many different things, but access to raw materials we don't have here. And I've recognized that over the past couple of years. We don't get access to new boards, new materials, things that 5 years down the line, 2 years down the line, next 6 months down the line are going to make a difference in the impact of the world as far as what people are buying for their products or have an interest in. But it's hard getting that hand in. So I definitely salute you guys and what you're doing in Freedom Village.
No, and brother, let me add to this though. Kazakhstan has an abundance every mineral on the periodic chart. Every single one.
That's interesting. That's
they are
amazing,
the
actually.
In the world,
every mineral.
in 12. They are the leaders in the world in 12. There is the brothers that allowed us, by the way, we're dealing with brothers, right? And just so I don't mind exposing the connection. We came into this space that we needed a way to get in. We came in this space through our African connections. Okay. It was the Sheikh Mahi Sise from the Tariqa Tijaniya in Senegal. Now let me explain to you who they are. Those are the guys who used to jump on the slave ships and kill off those slave owners and free Africans off those ships. They're the same guys who ran the French out of Senegal. And they're the ones who then sent us people to work here. The people here own coal mines, banks, gold mines. And Brother Yassine, like I say, he's on the call. He's been here. I took him out. We sat at the table. We ate with these people. They are our friends and our brothers. And we work with them in kind in order to make sure that we can gain access to anything that we need. You want to do Bitcoin mining, you can get the lowest electricity price in the world right here. If you want to start trading anything or making anything, you want to start making cotton or making this type of linen or wool or whatever, we got a 280,000 acre farm that same set of brothers gave us management control over. And that's one of the resources that we have here in Kazakhstan for the Freedom Nation and for the Freedom Citizens, right?
Thank you very much.
When you talk about access to raw materials, not only are you in this unique trade zone, but you have direct access. And one of the things I think I neglected to discuss is the fact that we also took another 22 acres in the special manufacturing zone, and we are establishing contract manufacturing in that area for our brothers and sisters so that they can contract with Freedom Nation instead of contracting with Chinese to deal with Chinese parts and goods in their own products. So all of this is happening right now, and all of this is the opportunity that's being put on the table. We really are trying to make a move to really reset the whole structure and really give us a lot more power than we've ever had in modern history.
Thank you for the clarity, brother. I appreciate it.
Brother Makram El-Amin asked that if $1,500 to purchase and how much monthly. So because there's no interest, the price you pay is the price it is. It's $45 a square foot. If you decide to hold and resell, we'll sell it to you for $20 a square foot. Why? Because we don't want you to incur the cost if you're not going to occupy the space. We instead would like to just hold back and increase the amount of money you can earn off the space. So if you're going to occupy the space, it's $45. And it folds out the same way. It's $1,500 a month and $780. I mean, $1,500 to get in, $780 a month. And you own the property from the day it starts. We hold the loan as the Freedom Nation holds the loan for Freedom Citizens. And what's important to understand is that all the transactions take place in the United States. So we have created the structure so that we can transact in the US and we don't have to transact with people here. We instead finish the transaction in the US, and then all the paperwork that has to come from here comes from here in your name. But the transaction and everything else, who you deal with, all legalities are from the United States. So that's the answer to Brother Makram's question. Are the similar investments in Georgia like in Cargos? So Brother Makram, what we've done, the only difference is this: here in Cargos, we had to build something to acquire the land. We couldn't just acquire it. The government wouldn't have given it to us. So we had to go through a 2-year process to acquire the land in Cargos. It literally took 2 full years to acquire the land. So while we were going through that process, we had to develop the entire development, and that's why we're selling the units there instead of selling the land, because we have a contractual obligation to finish the entire project in the next 5 years, and we incrementally have to finish parts of the project every 16 months. We have to finish a phase of that project. In Georgia, we have a better opportunity because in Hancock County, we have a lot of leeway. The county is on our side, so we can just make the land plots available and then work with citizens in order to build whatever they desire. So if you want to buy a couple of plots of land and then decide to build your own inter-community inside the community, you can. You can do that with your own people. We give you the classes for free if that's what you want to do on your own. But if you want to work with someone else, or you want to work with a contractor, we give you trustworthy people who know how to use the products that we provide, and they'll build a beautiful space with you. And we'll also talk with you about how to help you finance that too, where we'll take on some of the costs up front, quite a bit of the costs up front, in order to make it easier for you to build your space. Like I said, the whole thing is about making sure that we own more and that we have these spaces of control and self-determination. So I am going to, at 6:18, anybody who wants to stay on, ask another question, please feel free. Out of respect for everybody who needs to drop off, we are 18 minutes over the hour, and I want to thank you for having shown up and had this conversation. Just a couple of little notes to drop real quick. First of all, if you are interested in being a part of this mission of self-determination, there are many ways to be involved. Everything from just purchasing your products that you use every day from other citizens, not from us, from other citizens, other people who are self-determined. This is about building an internal economy, right? If you are interested in purchasing land and becoming a physical part of the Freedom Village, Freedom Nation, and joining other Freedom citizens, being surrounded and living around people who are determined for self-determination, then you start that out by going to freedomnation.me/apply. I'm putting that inside the chat. freedomnation.me/apply, and fill out that form. And what we're doing in the next week is we are electing some people volunteer out of the set of Freedom Village landowners that will give you a call and review and talk to you. Citizenship is pretty cool because that's how you gain access to, like I said, we don't do any credit checks and all that kind of stuff. We go on the strength of people's word and the quality of human beings that we're dealing with, and the significance and sincerity of your initiatives, in order to provide things like funding, and access to the properties and so forth and so on. But it starts out by going to the freedomnation.me/apply and developing a Freedom Citizen profile. If you already have a Freedom Citizen profile, then you can reach out either to our citizen liaison, which is Gaziza, as I'm pointing like she's here. She sits down here, right? But her name is Gaziza, and she's here and available to respond. Also in the US, we have Sister Karima Hunter. She's also available to respond to you as well. Anyone who wants to do any viewings of the property can do so by reserving their lot first and then going out, reaching out to Brother Daniel Muhammad, take you out to the property. I want to thank everybody for joining in, and please feel free to extend the conversation. This was only an introduction, and it's hopefully a part of a long conversation. We already have some amazing citizens, and God is really allowing us to build this thing that we dream of in the back of our head every time things don't necessarily seem right in our life with how we live today. And to that, for all those who have to bow out of the conversation, I want to say assalamu alaikum, uhuru, and shalom to you. And hopefully we talk soon in the future. Anyone else that wants to hang back, feel free to do so by dropping a question in the chat or just unmuting yourself, and I will stay online with you for another half hour. Otherwise, feel free to just end the call in order to drop out. Oh, and I should take the time. I'm sorry, Brother Theodore, if you haven't left yet, we are already based. We built a house in Ben Greer. We were part of a competition about 2 years ago to see who could build the most self-sustainable house in Africa, a huge competition. They invited teams from all over Africa. The King of Morocco was a part of it, and he hosted it in Morocco. Ben Greer is the test city. It's a whole city dedicated to testing out solar and new energy products and all this kind of stuff. And they wanted us to build these houses there. We won that competition with our designs and with our materials. And we, by definition and by the outcome of the competition, built the most sustainable house in Africa. That was our introduction into Morocco. We've also established relationships, and we also have a base of Freedom Labs in Marrakesh, off of Road de Fez. And then we are also working. We've even gone to the extent of a couple of brothers married into Morocco. So we have family there. I have nieces from Morocco. So it is definitely on our plan to build a Freedom Village within the next 5 years, somewhere near, a little bit closer to Tangier than anywhere else, to take advantage of the high-speed rail that has been built. And most people don't know this, but the first high-speed rail in Africa was built between Tangier and Casablanca, and now is being extended down to Marrakesh. And we definitely are taking advantage of that, because when you walk across, when you get to the top of Tangier, you know, you can go from Tangier right into Europe within less than an hour by boat, about 25 minutes by plane. It takes about literally 10 minutes once you take off and you cross across the water and you're in Europe. And that's a key space to be able to work and live in Africa and then still transact with Europe as well. It's part of this whole big structure. And that all the developments in Tangier Med and inside the Tangier port are part of the New Silk Road project. So we're definitely part of that. So That's brother. I'm still here. I hear you. Can you write the name on the message for me? Yes, brother Theodore. Are you in? You can unmute yourself. It'd be great. Are you in Morocco right now, or do you have family in Morocco? Oh, he's at work. Okay, no problem. No problem. But that's the answer to that question as well. I see a lot of people bowing out, but I still see some people staying in. One or two people unmuted. You got the floor, my brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
This is Yasir. How you doing, bro?
Alhamdulillah, brother. Say, how are you?
Doing well, doing well. You know, I got all kind of ideas going through my head, but I try to keep it simple. My primary occupation right now is detailing, auto detailing, and I actually kind of just went into, just did my research on my own just to see what was going on over there. And I was just trying to see what opportunities that you see in. I'm not sure how I would go about it because I'm not really interested in continue to detail, but possibly doing something in that industry, whether it's product or tools or something like that. So I was just wondering, have you seen anything?
Yeah, no. So if you're talking about product, there's a couple of key places. When you think about, when I think about cleaning supplies, when I think about detailing supplies, I guess my brain immediately goes to salt. And the reason it goes to salt is because salt is where we get bleach from, and is a cornerstone of caustic sodas and other things that we need. And I think a lot of times when you go down to make a lot of these products and come up with these cleaning supplies, I think the challenge for us is to engage those brothers and sisters that we have that are actually chemists. And like say, instead of just saying, let me go and buy what's off the shelf, or somebody might manufacture something, but for us to really think, okay, well, how do I really cook up my own stuff, like for real? And then how do I gain access to it? One of the problems in the United States is that when you get down to that raw material level, they block you. I mean, for real,
Okay.
they block you. Like I heard a brother saying, there's a brother, African-American Muslim brother, their family owns a $10-12 million steel manufacturing company. And I remember asking him, like, okay, are you gaining access to iron ore? Are you actually working iron? And he said, these white guys will never let us gain access to iron ore. And what the craziest part about that statement is that in the top 10, Mauritania, Kazakhstan are some of the key places for iron ore on the planet Earth. Australia just cut off their deal with the New Silk Road. They raised the cost of iron ore considerably in the whole world because of it, because of cutting off China from iron ore, because a lot of steel manufacturing is being done in China. So when they cut off the iron ore from Australia, you hurt steel manufacturing for the planet. So if you want to gain access to those raw materials, this is one of those great places where you can get down and get deep. You know what I mean? Like not just surface stuff, you can get deep. You can go in, identify the people who can do it from the core. You can set up a little laboratory. You can cook up your own stuff. You can everything that you need to create your products, label them your way, your unique everything you can do here, right? And you can plant yourself here. That's one of the big benefits of this whole, like, the reason that this soft entry for the whole payment thing is saying, hey, look, let's secure your space so that you can go ahead and register your company, so you can go ahead and start doing stuff like this, and you can start getting the ground and start figuring this stuff out. It might take 2 years to develop a product, because, but you can start doing that while you're still living in the US, while you're still doing the business you're doing today, and while you're still making the money, and you can put that into it. And then in 2 years' time, you had your own product, your own label, whatever, and you pushing that. You handing it off to the people whose cars you detail. You working with other detail services. You expand it through that network and create your own sales funnel that you can work with, and you build something really strong from the raw material all the way down to the end buyer.
Yeah, I like that. So yeah, I definitely need to talk. We can explore that more. So yeah, I need to look at that opportunity.
Definitely reach out. Like I said, if you have a profile already, then just reach out to us directly. If you don't have a profile, at least set that up, and then let's reach out and let's talk. I mean, let's talk. Let's get in. Hit Aziza up, because she'll hit you when you create your profile. Aziza will contact you as well. Hit her up and let's set up a private call and talk about a pathway. Because what I'm really into is to give brothers very clear pathways on how to make this stuff real. I don't want anybody to waste a single second or a single dime. I want to make sure that everything is purposeful and that you have a very clear way of getting to the thing that you intended to get.
All right, I'll do that. And I got land in, I bought into Georgia in Hancock County. So I don't know if I got a profile still, but I did a profile a few years back when you first opened it up.
Yeah, so you in phase 2, you're phase 1.
Phase 1.
What's your name, brother?
Yes, sir. What car?
Oh, brother. Oh, you and your wife brought in.
Yeah.
Y'all two are diligent, man. Y'all two are diligent, man. I admire y'all. The way y'all move to get things done is like real straightforward. I remember we talked one time before, and then everything that you do is just like click, click, bat, boom, boom. Y'all are diligent, man. Yeah, no. Just set up some time so we can talk. Me and you can talk, and we're gonna work it through. I mean, that's it's one of the reasons why I'm trying not. I think that at biggest we might have 1,000 people when it's all said and done. Right now we have almost 100. I don't want us to build more than 1,000 people. 1,000 people can then help other people. But I really still want to give everybody like personal time to work on the things that they want to work on. But yeah, we're a little past due for having that conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Then how do I get in touch with her to set that up? What do I need?
Aziza, I see you on here. So if you're on here, reach out to Brother Yasir and set up a time. Put it on my schedule for me and him to talk, and give us at least an hour. Aziza, I see Aziza Amarova. She's on here, so she might not speak up.
All right.
She's probably just waking up in the morning.
No problem.
So we got
Faruq.
Yes, Brother Makram, how are you?
I'm good. A couple questions. One is, I know my mother has already purchased a lot there, and myself, my sister, we're actually in the process of doing so as well. I'm curious though about the over there where you are in Cargoose, and I mean, how expensive is it to there?
Say that last part again.
How expensive is it to come there, and how long does that take? What's the logistics in doing that?
So it's pretty cool that we still have like 30 people on this phone call, because one of the things that I forgot to mention, and I should have mentioned, we got a couple of people who are on the call who are coming over here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, inshallah. But because we already worked all the paperwork out for them and everything else. But even now in the whole pandemic travel thing, which is abnormal, you can still get over here and go back home for about $1,000. So that's the round trip ticket. Now, once you get here, we got a bunch of ways to help you. If you just come by yourself, then don't worry about a cost. We'll put you up. We have a bed and breakfast here that we operate. It's one of the Freedom Houses. We have Freedom House in Atlanta. We got a Freedom House here, and we'll put you up in a room. There's someone there who cooks meals every day. You'll be squared away real nice, and then we just move around and we'll treat you. We'll treat you like a brother when you hit the ground, and take care of you. Like I said, the brothers who've been here, they will attest to the fact that we go out of our way to take care of the brothers and sisters that hit the ground here. Second is, in what I forgot to mention, is in October. On the second week of October, we want to extend. I'm going to put this online, but we're going to extend an invite for as many people to come as who want to come. We're going to ask that people tell us ahead of time. Like ahead of time means like in the next week or two, because of the pandemic. Kazakhstan has kept really low pandemic numbers, really low. And because of the pandemic, they have a federal commission on figuring out who can come in and who can't. And you got to have a good reason to be here. So we put in all that paperwork to get you here, and we let them know you're someone who's investing in this area, blah, blah, and should be treated as such. And we set up all the frills and the thrills, and we have a dedicated person in our office who does nothing but handle that type of stuff. So they'll take care of all of that for you and get you in here. If you come in October, hopefully you'll be coming over with a lot of people. And that'll just be an event. That'll just be something special to be seen, because ain't too many African Americans here anyway. So I look forward to showing Kazakhs 20, 30, 40 African Americans at one time, freak them out real good.
I'm very interested in that. So I will get more information about that for the October thing, but we're going to move on to the Georgia thing right away.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I warn you, though. Listen, when it's just 4 or 5 of us walking together, they treat us like movie stars over here, boy. They be taking pictures and lining up and bringing the family around, telling little kids, get in the picture, get in the picture. You know, everything else. So, you know, I know we're going to make a scene. It's a scene needed to be made.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. We have someone with the hand raised. Let me see who this is. Let's go over here. That was you, Brother Makram. Okay. So there's still a lot of people on. So if anyone has open questions, just unmute yourself and ask them openly.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Brothers. Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum. I'm sorry, I'm kind of tongue twisted. I'm a little excited. I just have to ask a question. I love what you're doing. My wife and I have looked at Freedom Nation for a while. I'm a publisher, a magazine publisher. My question is that I would like to, I'm rebooting my magazine. It's called Eminence Magazine. I'm rebooting this magazine that was basically shut down by the United States government because it was for black men 20 years ago. But I'm rebooting, and I would like to in touch with the Freedom Nation, your offices, the people in your offices, to publish this opportunity in the magazine as we reboot. The next one should be out by looking at the end of May, before they start sentencing Derek Chauvin.
What's your name, brother?
My name is Mark Owens. They call me Mick. And it's Mark C. Owens. I used to publish a while back Eminence Magazine. And I'm just looking to, like you, I've been, not as successful as you, but trying to find ways that we can empower ourselves so that we're not at the, at the slave level of opportunity in the United States and around the world. And it seems like you have figured it out a few years faster than I did. But I am very interested in expressing and exposing and sharing this information with as many people as pick up subscriptions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what we will definitely follow up on that. I wrote you down, Brother Mark. And then what I'm going to add to that, though, is success is only measured by what you consider success to be, and I definitely measure it by how many people actually achieve what they're actually after through the things that we do. And I'm going to tell you, just to reiterate, the only thing that we've ever found out is that when a couple of people step out, excuse me, if anyone on the call is not Muslim, I quote the Quran every now and again, but the Quran says, let there arise out of you a band of people enjoining what is right and forbidding what is wrong, and leading others to what's right. So, it's an idea that if you got 1 or 2 people who just take on the risk and the hardship of doing a thing, if they push out really hard and show that they're sincere, then they're always rewarded by other people who otherwise couldn't break those barriers, coming to join them at the right time. So the only success I have here is just how many brothers actually and sisters actually join us. That's definitely my measure of success.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm hoping that as I push out with Eminence Magazine, that more brothers and sisters like you would join and just express their stories. And again,
I thought we would have had leftovers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Somebody's eating dinner.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I muted my phone. Please forgive me.
But I pulled up everything that you were showing in the presentation. It was a great presentation, by the way. Very informative. Made my wife sit down and listen to it with me. And I would, again, my name is Mark Owens. It's Eminence Magazine. It's not up anywhere yet, again. But like I said, by the end of May, it's going to make a splash.
Yes, sir.
And I would like to interview and maybe put an advertisement in. That's how we keep the lights on here. But I definitely want to express, expose, encourage others, all of us, to take advantage and be involved in Freedom Nation.
Yes, sir. We'll do our best to support as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I'm on a call now with you, but I was supposed to be in another call with some brothers who are trying to, well, they've already established a Moorish nation here in the United States. They're going through getting the paperwork down there, but it seems like a lot of minds are all turning towards the same solutions.
Yeah, we are definitely in. If there was another time before in our lifetime when it happened, we're definitely entering a space right now where many of us understand that the only realistic solution is to go through the hardships necessary to build our own.
Right.
That's something that needs to be celebrated a lot. But yes, brother, we'll definitely follow up. And brother Mark, I'll follow up with you afterwards, and we'll get Gaziza. She just walked in the office. I don't know if you see her down there, and she's we'll get on the follow up. But thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a great day.
Do we have any other people who, like I said, just feel free to unmute yourself and jump right in. It is now 6:40. We're going to hold the call open until 7. Just in case anybody else wants to get in, just take the floor, ask your questions, and put it out there. Let's talk. I feel like I'm on a radio show now.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum, brother. It's me again, Kelly.
Now, Sister Kelly, do you go by Kelly or you go by something else?
Aisha. Well, you can call me Aisha. Kelly.
I didn't know where you living in Saudi Arabia all that time, and everybody's saying Kelly. Okay, Sister Aisha.
Yes. Yes, just me again. I'm just so eager and excited about what I'm hearing, and I'm so grateful, my brother, that as the brother said previously, it's great that you discovered this Silk Road, and you're trying to pull in some of the some of us, to so that we can scale up and have some, maybe develop some wealth and generational wealth for ourselves and our families. And with that being said, I put a little message in the chat, and I mentioned that I'm thinking more so into the future, as far as IA, artificial intelligence, or anything dealing with solar energy. And I was hoping, I don't have much knowledge, particularly in solar energy, but I was hoping that I could partner up with someone, if it's possible, or be given some information, some trainings, maybe take some webinar courses to learn about in solar energy, and trying to set up some sort of maybe manufacturing place out there.
Yes.
So that I don't do solar energy, maybe panels or anything that might be.
No. Sister Aisha, let me explain that's actually one of the greatest uses of this space, and I'll explain it. First of all, I'm going to Brother William ask about the weather. I used to try to dodge this question because in Kazakhstan it gets cold. I'm in Nur Sultan. It can get down to negative 52 in Nur Sultan. I know there's a lot of folks just say, "Woo, okay," but it can get down to negative 52 inside of but on the border in Chicago, it gets down to more like negative 30, somewhere around that area at the worst, negative 20, and it's only like a month out of the year. Otherwise, it's typically just regular snow, as if you lived like in DC or something like that. Now, Sister Aisha, let me explain this. So it's very funny that you say that, because one of the things I was looking for when I went to China that time was solar, not the panels, the cell, right? So if you think about a solar panel is made up of a bunch of solar cells. Each solar cell, when you turn on the backside, has a strip of copper running across this way and running across that way. And what you do is you tie those pieces of copper, so you have a negative and a positive conduit across your panel. And you build the panel out according to its capacity for electricity. It's a calculation you have to have. Then you want to put a nice piece of glass over the top of it so that it does, the rain and snow and stuff that don't get directly on the cell. And then you encase the panel in a casing. You can use several different types of things for your casing, as long as it doesn't disrupt the flow of energy or act as a conduit that would shock somebody who touched it. Then you take all those things and you connect them to each other and you put them down to batteries, the solar batteries. Okay, converter, battery, everything like the inverter, batteries, everything else. So President Obama inflicted $1.85 tax per solar cell coming from China. The solar cells in the United States cost about $1.60 per cell. $1.60 per cell if you buy them in the US. You can find some people that might sell it to you somewhere closer to $1. That's possible. It's feasible. However, the Chinese solar cells, if you don't remember, you recall Obama actually made open comments against China's solar cells because he said they were playing unfair in the market. And most of the solar in the US was becoming Chinese solar. So he imposed this tax to slow down the introduction of Chinese solar cells. Chinese solar cells sell for 2 cents a cell.
Wow.
2 cents, right? You can get them, if you want to go up the ladder a little bit, you can hit around 5 cents, okay? Now, that means that the issue is now getting it out. When I was in Guangzhou and I started talking about solar cells, I went to a couple of the manufacturers, and they said, "Where are you from? You from the Middle East? You from this and that?" And I said, "No, I'm from the United States." She said, "Why are we even talking? Like, why are we even talking? It doesn't make any sense. You can't get it there. It's just stupid. It's almost $2 once you get it there. Once you put the transportation costs, everything else, you out of luck." So if you are in cargoes, you can take the solar cell for 5 cents and then build the solar panel and ship the solar panel as a product of Kazakhstan. And you will avoid the taxes. That is a huge opportunity for anyone who knows what they're doing and can get their hands on. And it's really simple. You get a guy who's a welder and someone who's a solderer, and they stick the stuff on a table and they just weld and solder the whole things together, caps them up, put it in glass, pack them in the wrap, put the bubble tape on it and slap it in the box. You in business. And you put it on the train and ship anywhere you want. And so many people are sleeping on that. But that's one of the key. Energy production inside of this particular place is one of the things that so many other investors are into right now. They're trying to make it the head of hydrogen production because they have massive source of water. And they're trying to basically take hydrogen and can it, right? So they're doing all of that as well as taking solar panels. So it's a great opportunity. And if it's something that you didn't move on right away, just like I suggested to the other brother, same thing, you jump into it, go ahead and reserve your space. Take advantage of some of the other opportunities to lease the space while you do your research, travel into China, find your people, get things going. And then whenever you want to take back your space, take it back. Use that address and that business that you put inside the special economic zone to work in your favor and start stacking stuff at our warehouse and then start getting it done. So you don't have to do it overnight. You can incrementally walk into it. You start out just investing in the space that gives you an address in the special economic zone, and then you register your business. Our folks here will help you with that. And we have a law firm that works with us. They're the ones who helped us actually acquire the space as well. There was like a 3-party thing that helped us get this thing done. And they'll get everything done for you and walk you through everything. You know, it's a real opportunity.
Brother, it sounds like a great investment. I'm very open to that. I just need that. Yeah, just need somebody to, kind of hold my hand and walk me through these steps and guide me, facilitate my moves and put me in the right direction, so that I could make this thing happen, because I'm very serious about moving into investments, and I like the idea of buying space there and actually moving products, doing the manufacturing, moving the products and shipping it, especially with the no tax, this free zone area. So it sounds great.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, just like I told Brother Yasir, same thing applies, Sister Kelly. If you have Sister Aisha, you have a profile already, then let's jump into it. If not, go ahead and create one, and then let's set up some personal time. Because is down there at the end, down there, she's shaking her head that she'll set that up. I don't know if you can see her down there.
Hey,
but,
I see.
but she's shaking her head. Yes, I'll get it done. Yes, I'll get it done. You're getting salams from this side. Everybody saying Assalamu alaikum. Oh, is she on her computer? She's she's tech savvy. She don't want to talk about my thing. There you go. But we'll get it done. We'll get on the phone, and then we'll set up a step by step. So a step by step to get it done. That's what's important, to actually know that you have a clear plan on how to actually get things done.
Some of these questions, I'm looking at the questions looking at the application form here. It says, who do you want to be sustainable with?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. The reason that we put that question there is because some people want to just do something for themselves, whereas some people want to say, hey, no, I actually want to work with a community of people working towards the same goal. And we kind of use that to dictate like how we engage people based on their intention. The whole questionnaire is meant just to engage your intentions, so that we can, in what we're doing, we can find a way to address you the way you want to do your stuff, not just because Freedom Nation is doing a particular thing.
Okay.
Brother Mustafa Shahi, I saw you unmute earlier. Did you have a question, brother? I think he's having a hard time hearing. Okay, we're coming on 6:51. We got 9 minutes left. If anyone has any additional questions, Brother Yassine, raise your hand. Please, Brother Yassine, unmute and join in.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah. I don't have any questions. I just love to hear more about it. And every time I hear it, it is just, I want to thank you. First, I'm thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And after thanking Allah, I want to thank Faruq Hunter and his family and all of those who are working with him to create these opportunities for us, because for sure many of us have been struggling trying to do business. We find ourselves repeating ourselves. We've seen that many people talk about the Black Wall Streets and things like that have not happened since integration, and one of the reasons is because we haven't harnessed our economic power, and two, we tend to think that we have to be with Charlie in order to make something happen, but actually the world is there for us. And Faruq, you've done a fantastic job of enlightening myself. I thought I was, globally aware. I've been a history buff, and I would have studied it in college, but I knew I couldn't make any money in history. But it's what led me to Islam history and traveling the globe as you have, not as extensively certainly. But I just want to say that we have to get out of the box. Many of us have been socially engineered through the education system, through our environment, and other than that, to think that we have to find our opportunities here. And I like your point of, how we can, we used to have take a stand back powder and come back strong, right? So this is take a world view, global view, and get out there, create opportunities, take advantage of opportunities, and come back here strong. We can come back into America and really be a powerhouse, but we can't do it from here because, as the gentleman you were talking to with the iron, man, we can't get the iron, or they're not going to give it to us. That means you got to go out and get it. You know, you have to go where it is, establish those links. And Faruq, you've done a fantastic job of making that happen, and it's been certainly through first the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and your hard work. I don't want to and commitment and sacrifice. And thank you very much. Jazakumullah khairan. Us and Jazakum. May Allah bless you and your family and all those, as I said, who have been working with you to make this happen. And as you mentioned before, myself and others, I'm looking at more opportunity. The Freedom Village cargoes is an amazing opportunity, and we want to take advantage of that as well.
And I'm gonna add to that by just educating everybody to the fact of what we've already accomplished, Brother Yassine, because it's definitely not a secret. You know, part of this development was developing full environments, and it's just silly in this day and time to talk about being an environment developer and not developing the digital environment. It's an absolution. And to that effect, you know, we started the Q Cloud. We work with Brother Yassine. You know, he was here in Kazakhstan while I was banging my head against the table and it was bleeding while we were trying
Look,
to.
And I want to say this: Kazakhstan, I call it the land of opportunity, certainly, and it is an opportunity, no doubt. But the people are the wonderful. The land is beautiful, and the opportunity is great. So the people, I really love how we were treated there, and you know, of course. You know, you set me up with the gold thing, and I don't even want to tell. I think about that. I tell people there how you set me up because I carry gold around. And I thought I was flashing some gold until our brother Ali dropped the picture on me, showing me. I'm like, they're on the mine. Oh man, I'm around here carrying gold in my pocket that somebody else mined, and here he's got, you know, blocks and blocks and just kilos upon kilos.
Gold.
Yeah. Right. And so, yeah, there's great opportunity there, and we can't miss out. To miss out, we would be remiss to blow this opportunity and not follow up. And some of us, I think we have to find a way to make it happen. Maybe you as an individual can't see a way, but then that doesn't mean you can't be involved. That means you just have to do a little work and network and bring those people who you know together, whatever organizations you belong into, your family, whatever, come together and see it as the brother explained it. This is something that is within our reach, and it is definitely we need it. We need it generationally. We're talking about generational wealth. We're talking about something that can go on and help not just our generations, families, and our progeny, but all of those who we come in contact with and who are smart enough to see the opportunity and take advantage of it.
Yeah, just to extend on it, you know, like so we now have that virtual space, and that virtual space was made real by the investments and involvement of yourself and the people you brought to the table. You know, it's Brother Daniel Muhammad left, but I like to really point out the Yassine Ahmeds, the Daniel Muhammads, Brother Muhammad. The reason I'm pointing out in particular is because these are individuals that take this opportunity, and then within this structure, they understand what it takes to do it, and then they see it, take advantage of it, and then build a structure in it, which I think is just amazing. You know, they call together their own group of people, they solicit them to work, get things done, they move the pieces together, and they mobilize a set of people. You know, if you're just creating a little itty bitty community, then you just look at the people around you at the table. But we're not creating a table, we're creating a big old room. And in the room, there's a whole bunch of tables and a whole bunch of conversations happening. And like Brother Yassine, you know, he engaged a conversation about the cloud, you know, and I can say the brothers own 90% of Q Cloud right now. And on top of owning 90% of Q Cloud, they also own what we're setting up now, which is our network operating and security operating center, which I just think is amazing, you know, and I think it's amazing to mention on this call because I've gotten a lot of phone calls from brothers who understand what it means to have African Americans that are focused on self-determination, owning their own cloud services and being able to provision, cloud space outside the US to them in their initiatives. So, you got your startups, you got everything else you're doing, you want the apps, whatever. Remember that part of Freedom Nation, we own our cloud. We don't deal with AWS, we don't deal with Azure, we don't deal with Google, whatever. We have our own containerized cloud. We can monitor our own systems within the structure, and it's part of this thing that we call Freedom Nation. And that's amazing that we can do that. And it happened because I initiated a call, and Brother Yassine responded to the call, but he didn't respond. He responded to the call, and then he organized, and he developed his own call, and then did his own thing, and then he moved. And that's really what's going to make it happen for us. That's the thing that's going to really change our dynamics completely. And I think that, inshallah, like a lot of people will look back and say, man, that's how that thing happened. How did you put that together? It's because we didn't try to do everything. We just tried to develop the environment, call people to the opportunities, and then find every way we could to put it back in the hands of the people who responded and not try to hold it for ourselves or hold wealth to ourselves. That's the most significant part. We try to put it back in everybody else's hands, and y'all determine where it goes for yourself. That's what's important. That's important. I think another brother was trying to chime in real quick because we're at the top of the hour. It's 6:59. I think if one more person wants to unmute and chime in, then we can respond to that.
Salam, sir.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Doing well. I had a quick question. Once you acquire the property there in Kazakhstan, is there any property tax?
So there is property tax, but let's deal with it the way that we deal with things in Freedom Village, Georgia. So over the next week, we told brothers in Freedom Village, Georgia, like Faruq said, they pay, it's like $50 a year because we held the private property as private property, segmented out so that they wouldn't be double taxed by having their own, things. So we wanted to reduce the tax burden on everybody. But same thing here. What we're working on and we're trying to launch in the next week is where we're trying to create the Freedom Pass. Now, it's something that we had done in the past, but we didn't really have a reason to kind of push it all the way out. But now with the Freedom Pass, what we're doing is allowing people who don't own property access to the common areas and access to other services that we can provide, right? The base cost helps us to pay the staff that does these things, right? So we hire staff to help us so we can be professional at what we do. What we've started to work in is how to work the taxes in for those people who own land if they pay the membership fee. So we want to reduce that down, and then they pay that membership fee. And as long as you do all your taxes, all your support services, because we develop a full administrative office. I'm in our administrative offices right now. So we want to include all of that as just part of like a one-shot deal. Just one more way, just trying to find a way to make it easier and more accessible. Because I will tell you this, operating in some of the other countries, especially Kazakhstan, the administrative overhead can be daunting. I've got over there's a whole, I don't know, I can twist this camera a little bit. You can see over there is our Director of Operational Support. Her office is over there. And she's just got rows of documentation, more paper than I have ever produced in my entire business life, in order to sustain ourselves in this space and to be able to be in compliance of the different laws and stuff like that. So we wanted to also rid brothers and sisters of having to go through that headache. So we've been looking for a way just to have like a monthly membership that includes the registration of your company, that includes the administrative support and concierge services while you're on the ground, which we offer now. We offer concierge service on the ground. I take advantage of them for people to shop for us and our families, make things easy. They go to the bazaars, get us the local best prices on food and all that kind of stuff, everything else, and reduce some of the headaches and the burdens that are sometimes faced with operating outside of our comfort zones.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem, Dr. And just to be specific, we have not come up with an actual like end price for that. We start to calculate what we know it will cost based on what's being included in it. but it's inexpensive. It's not a huge expense. It's not something that is a showstopper in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Great. It's law.
Okay. Oh, and I do need to, you know what, let me take advantage of mentioning one more thing. So we're registered here at the Astana International Finance Center and the Astana Financial Service Authority inside the autonomous region of EASL. We fall underneath the law of this autonomous structure. And one of the things is also relief on the tax side too, because when you operate a business in this area, you need to think about other taxes, social taxes. You got to think about not just property tax, but social tax, employment tax, other taxes. We gain massive tax relief from operating inside this area. And that's something we'll also help brothers and sisters navigate as well. So we're at the top. I think there you go. Yes, sir.
Good evening. I feel bad about this, but unfortunately I had some obligations and I just actually got on your call maybe within the last 10, 15 minutes.
No problem. We recorded the whole thing and we're going to put it on the Facebook.
But is there any way you could maybe give me a 2-second synopsis, a 2-minute synopsis? I know we're we're at the top of the hour. So is there any kind of, just to kind of give me a basis of what, because I kind of heard some of the things that you've mentioned since I've been on the call. And it sounds like it's a great opportunity that I'm interested in being a part of, but I just want to have a better understanding.
Yes, sir. Who am I speaking with, by the way?
CJ Pern.
CJ?
Yep.
Did we talk the other day?
I don't believe we have.
Okay.
Unless we've spoken on another platform, but I don't believe we have.
To give a two, I don't know if it'll be 2 seconds, bro, CJ.
Whatever time you can say, I don't want to hold you up. I know I kind of came in here.
Some of the other brothers on this call, some of the sisters on this call, that we've been talking for a minute now. We've been there for almost 2 hours. Like, what can we do in 2 seconds? but I'll use it as an opportunity to sum up everything because we're at the end of the conversation. So just to summarize, this is, of course, a Freedom Nation, and we started the entire organization holistically to go after this dream of self-determination for African American people. We think that it's serious, it's real, and we think that someone needs to lead that initiative, not as a leader per se, like an authoritarian, but lead in the sense of putting their foot out and taking the risks to establish the environments necessary so that other people can then take over them and then run them in the way they see fit. That is the core of Freedom Nation. The actual constructs that we have developed are called Freedom Village. And these are spaces where we integrate multiple different concepts to provide environments that allow for autonomous management, trade, and other things in key transportation corridors in the world. Hancock County being between the largest airport, the busiest airport on the planet Earth, not largest, but the busiest, and the third largest port in the United States of America, 1 hour respectively on either side of the town. And then also now Freedom Village Cargoes being the only American development on the border of China in the free trade zone, and what is becoming the new Shenzhen, which is called Hargos, which is connected to Cargos, which is the largest dry port in the world and the space where 78% of all Eurasian traffic and trade goes through every single year and is growing immensely year over year. We are found ways to acquire, I don't say found ways, but we fought like hell and spent our own money to acquire as many spaces as we could that are unique and that give a particular advantage to African Americans who want to build a future of self-determination, definitely through economy and trade and manufacturing. One of those here in Cargos is, I'm calling from Kazakhstan, and I'm on the border of China. We are in Astana, but the development is on the border of China and what is called the Cargos Border Center for Cross-Border Collaboration. is what it's called. And it is there we have just close to about 5 to 10% of the entire cross-border city. That is a city that straddles both countries, where you can walk across the border with no visa, and you can trade goods and people without limitations, taxes, tariffs, or otherwise in that city, which allows for some very unique opportunities for those who manufacture and trade in that area. We're trying to make it the key space in the world where African Americans transact with Asia and then transport to Europe as well as Africa and the Middle East by land, and then also sell into Asia and as well. In Kazakhstan, you have almost every single mineral on the mineral chart in the form of abundance, and 12, they're the top leader of those minerals in the world that give us a great access to raw materials and to build a lot of manufacturing capacity. The opportunity here, what we've done through our development here is to reduce the cost of entry down to $1,500. So we are selling the properties to Freedom citizens by providing 0% no interest financing for 5 years. We're reducing the entry point to $1,500 so that as many brothers and sisters as can get in. We're selling it at wholesale rate at $45 a square foot and $20 a square foot for anybody who wants to resell or rent it out. We will help and work with them to rent that or sell that place out to someone else who will then help them make a profit if that's what they want to do. If they want to use a location to build their manufacturing or to deal with any kind of cross-border trade, they can use that, and we'll help and assist with the process of registering the company by just charging the natural fee that we have for Freedom Nation citizenship. We'll also help you take care of all taxes and any other overhead that it costs to work in this area, and you can have a permanent space. One thing I did not mention, which is really bad that I didn't mention it, but by being registered here at the AIFC, we get 5 years in this country in 5 days. And then they will renew you for 5 years, and then they will renew you for 20, and then they will give you permanent residence. So you can actually be a full-time permanent resident of Kazakhstan. And I am behooving our African-American people to use this as their Asian hub. There are only 18 million Kazakhs, there's 42 million of us. Our entrepreneurial skills over the last year have produced almost $190 billion in revenue in the United States. The GDP of all of Kazakhstan is 151. So we actually out-earn the entire country. So it just makes sense that we come here to help them with their foreign investment initiatives, that we become a partner, a real partner to Kazakhstan and a real residence here, and we utilize the space as our hub for trade in the future. And we have given, by as much work, investment, time that we possibly can do, we've given the best entry point to coming into this space by allowing Freedom citizens to come in with no credit checks, just on the power and strength of their word to be able to purchase property and operate their businesses in this region. So that is not 2 seconds. It wasn't even 2 minutes.
Well, I appreciate all the time you gave on that, and thank you for that.
No problem, brother, no problem. And if you want to be a part of it, then please, you can look to the chat inside of this call. It's freedomnation.me/apply. I'll say it again, freedomnation.me/apply. And you just register for your Freedom Citizen profile. One of our citizen members will call you and do a screening with you to identify fit, because our citizens choose our citizens. And then after that, everything that we do is open to you, available to you, and our continued and complete support. And just reestablish that our purpose here is to identify the opportunities, help build the strategies that help us win, take the initiative to go out and secure the spaces, and then hand it back over to you so you can determine where it goes. And that's that. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And like I say, I always say, Assalamu alaikum uhuru, shalom, in respect of everybody's space. I hope to hear from you more. And I hope this is the beginning of some very long, intense conversations that lead to some very intense outcomes that get us to the self-determination that we seek so badly. With that, I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate this initiative that you began, and we look forward to running with it.
we can exacerbate their allergic inflammation from your airway. And it suggests to us that elevated concentrations of this very, very
Hello.
can actually have the same effect on that critical population of immune cells in the state, reducing their capacity to dial down allergic inflammation. We wanted to say this molecule is the product of metabolism of phenolic acid. Phenolic acid. Very, very
Hello. Is the meeting over?